welcome back to Foster the Meeple, a channel all about board games and board gamey things. I am back again today with another pumped up Kickstarter. And today's pumped up Kickstarter is on Timeless Journeys, the Grand Italian Tour from Lirius Games, who very kindly sponsored today's video. Now you may recognize the name Lirius Games because they also published a game that we in this household love, which is Age of Comics, The Golden Years. So same publisher, but this is a different designer. So a few things to note. As per usual with my preview videos, I am going to give you a general overview of how this game works to help you determine whether or not this game is a good fit for you. This is a prototype version of the game, so you know what that means. Things are subject to change. Okie dokie, this game is also coming to Kickstarter, so all of the information, everything that you need to know is going to be linked in the description below. So without further ado, I say let us get in our little Italian car, a Fiat perhaps, I think that's an Italian car, drive through the streets of Italy, go on a little bit of a tour ourselves of Timeless Journeys, the Grand Italian Tour. Let's do it. All right, we're back. Let's talk about Timeless Journeys, the Grand Italian Tour, which from here on out, I will just refer to as Timeless Journeys, because otherwise I'm gonna run out of breath. Nobody wants that, okay? So in Timeless Journeys, you'll step into the shoes of an intrepid traveler exploring the wonders of Italy during the 18th and 19th centuries. In this game, you'll traverse famous art cities, befriend locals, gather inspiring ideas about art, history, philosophy, and science, and meet renowned figures. You'll immerse yourself in the rich culture and history of Italy as you navigate through the beautiful countryside, making strategic decisions to score points to win the game. But what does that all mean? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's take a little bit of a closer look at how the game works. Once again, this is not an official how to play video. This is more of a general overview, but I'm going to try and do my best to give you a good idea of how the game plays. Timeless Journeys is played over 5 rounds, and each round is divided into 4 phases. The action phase, the famous traveler phase, the cards phase, and the reorganization phase. So let's start with the action phase. In this phase, players will take turns playing a card from their hand and placing it into the play area. You would then complete the indicated action on the card if it happens to be the first one of that type to be played. Or you'll trigger a chain of actions if you've already played cards of that same category in the current round. When you trigger a chain, you can activate all cards of that category in your play area. So as an example, if I had played out this card on my turn, well, there's only one of that card in my play area, so I'm just going to do what it says. Now, if I had already had this card out and I decided to play this card, well, then I'm going to get to trigger all of this type of card in whichever order I want. So the more that you have out of that type of card, the more you're going to get to do when you play out another of that kind of card. Cards can have 4 different categories: travel, which are our green cards, friendship, which are the beige cards, inspiration, which are the blue cards. These three are all found on your basic action cards. And finally, you will have festivities, which are red cards found on advanced cards. So maybe it'll be helpful to actually take a closer look at each category, starting with travel, the green cards. Now, you are going to find two types of symbols on the travel card, okay? You're going to have arrows for movement and magnifying glasses for exploration. When you move, you'll travel along the connected paths, some of which are going to come at a price which you'll need to pay. That will be outlined by this little coin symbol that you see kind of scattered throughout the map. Exploration, on the other hand, is going to allow you to explore a city by looking at the face-down exploration tiles in the city. So for the purpose of today's example, just so everybody knows, I have set up for a 2-player game. So everything that you see here is for a 2-player game. So when exploring, you're going to be able to look at the exploration tiles of that city, all right? In a 2-player game, there will be 2. There is going to be 1 for each number of players in each city. So when you explore, you're going to be able to look at the face-down tiles that are in that city. You are then going to be able to choose one and place it face up in your play area. These tiles are a one-time use unless otherwise stated and can be used at any time on the player's turn and can be put into the player's travel journals if they match what they need, or you can gain the city reward, which is depicted on the board below the city, okay, which is right here. Now, if you are curious, like, what? Travel journal? What does that mean? So here, actually, this is a great example. My travel board is looking for Napoli. I need to travel there. So had I picked up this exploration tile, instead of saving it to use the action later on my turn, I might want to place this on my travel journal because, well, I got to fill out my travel journal. I'm on a mission here. Next up is the friendship category, and that is the beige card. So let's put some of those out right here. Just like in travel, you are going to encounter 2 different symbols. There's a speech bubble to have a conversation and a letter to send a letter. Now, having a conversation allows you to befriend one of the 2 city locals. So just note, you will only have 3 friendship markers. You can move them after they've been placed, but you will lose that friendship, okay? When you make a friend, you'll collect the indicated reward. You'll see that there are 2 different people in each of the cities, and you may want to befriend them, okay? So where am I? I'm up here. So let's just say that I'm down here and I'm in Napoli and I want to have a conversation, make a friend. Well, I might like to have a conversation with this person right here. Now, underneath them, you'll see a little token here, which is going to show you the indicated reward that you will be collecting. In this case, if I were having a conversation with this lady, I could take one of these tiles here, which we're going to talk about those a little bit later, okay? Now, also, on our travel journals, there are going to be certain people that we want to befriend. Now, I happen to be in Napoli and none of the people I want to befriend are in Napoli, so I just decided to make friends with this nice lady right here. Now, let's talk about sending a letter. Sending a letter will allow you to continue to receive rewards from your friends even after you leave the city. As an example, if I was like, see you later, Napoli, I'm going over to Roma. So if I were here, I could use this letter to send a letter to my lady friend over here. Remember how I made friends with her? So I could collect this reward again. Now let's move on to inspiration, and that's going to be our blue cards right here. So with inspiration, you can write in the travel journal, which is this little journal icon here. You can discuss in the cafe. That's the teacup, or you can get ideas, which is this little symbol here, and that little symbol may look like a different letter, but it's going to match kind of one of these things. These are ideas, okay? So the ideas will appear in 4 different symbols, and these represent different subjects. So we have history, art, science, and philosophy are the different idea tokens that you are going to encounter. So when you take the idea action, you are going to gain an idea token of the indicated type and place it in your play area. So if I had played this, I would take a philosophy idea and I plop it right down in my play area. When you write in your travel journal, which is once again this journal symbol, you can then place an idea in one of your travel journals, converting it into a chapter. So actually, both of the travel journals that I have needs philosophy. I'm out here just philosophizing a ton. So I would place that right in here. When you discuss in the cafe, and you'll remember that is the teacup symbol, you will be able to exchange ideas for victory points. So let's just take a little bit of a closer look at that cafe discussion. So you'll notice here, on all the different cities, there are cafes. So in order to exchange your ideas for money or points, you are going to be placing out your little cafe token in the top spot of where you're doing that by exchanging in that many ideas. So as an example, for this one, you need 5 philosophy. To do that, you'll get 15 points. Over here, you can do 2 philosophy, 1 science to get 8 points. So there's a bunch of different options for you there. As mentioned, during the action phase, you can play a card face up in your play area, but I also want to mention that you can also choose to play a card face down to perform one of the 2 following actions. You can either place a card face down to gain 2 coins, perform a movement, or acquire an advanced action card from the market display, which is right here, by paying its associated cost and adding it to your hand. You do have this little token here that reminds you that you are able to do that. So to do that, you would literally just plop your card down and pick one of those actions. Once each player has played 5 cards, we'll move on to the next phase, the famous Traveler's phase. It sounds pretty fancy. I have to agree with that. During this phase, you'll check the famous traveler reference cards on the board and award the respective bonuses shown below the portrait to the players who meet the requirements. This is our famous traveler board, all right? So you are going to have 3 different ones that are going to appear in the game. A little bit later, I'll kind of explain how those choices are made, but for the purposes of this example, I went in chaos mode basically, and I just selected 3 random. So we have Lord Byron, Lady Montague, and Joseph Addison. At the beginning of the game, you are also going to be selecting or randomly choosing these itinerary cards, which is the itinerary of where the famous people are going to be going. So they have different respective bonuses, like I mentioned. If you achieve those, then you are going to gain them. So as an example with Lady Montague, if at the end of the round you are in the same city as her, so if I was up here, then I would gain 4 points. And they're all different, all of which are, of course, explained in the rule book. The next phase is going to be the card phase. Now, each player will be able to choose 1 advanced action card for free. The level of the card you can take will depend on how many different categories were played that round. So if this is what I had played in that round, because remember we're going to be playing out 5 cards, well, I've played 2 blue, 2 beige, and 1 green. So I have played 3 different types of categories, meaning that I could take from level 2. 3 different categories, 2 different categories, 4 different categories, all right? Finally, we're gonna go into the reorganization phase where you will refresh the market, take back your played cards, advance the round marker, move the famous travelers to the next city based on their itinerary, and pass the first player token, which is this horse and carriage. The game will end at the end of the 5th round and final victory points will be added up, and whoever has the most points wins. You're going to score points at the end of the game in a variety of different ways, but primarily through exploration tiles that you have collected that are in your play area or on your travel journal. You're also going to get points depending on how much of your travel journal you have completed, as well as any of the advanced cards that you've collected throughout the game. So you'll notice at the bottom of the card, they have a victory point level. And there is a little reference card here that tells you what you're going to be tracking and how many points. So as an example, if you have filled all 8 spots in your travel journal. That's going to be a total of 28 points. So that is Timeless Journeys, the Grand Italian Tour in a nutshell. That is how the game works. All right. So the question is then, who is this game for? I would say this game is for fans of engine building, hand management, and exploration. The vibes are obviously very old-timey. There's a pretty wide decision space when it comes to triggering your abilities and chaining those actions. And when you do trigger a chain of actions, you can choose whatever order you want to kind of resolve those actions in. And you can even choose to skip one. If you're like, nah, don't feel like doing that right now, well, you don't have to. So really, at the end of the day, this is like a massive optimization puzzle. The beauty of it though is that the rule set is very straightforward. Like I essentially just covered all of the rules. There may be a few little minute details that I didn't cover. Like obviously I didn't go over all the different famous traveler bonuses and stuff, but like those are the rules, okay? So very straightforward. So I would definitely put this in the category of easy to learn, hard to master because of that optimization aspect of the game. Now, there are also various game modes that you can use. So there's historical immersion, where you'll select a historical period and take the corresponding famous travelers to use. So that's one way that you can play. There is timeless jam, where you'll shuffle all the famous travelers and randomly select 3, which is going to offer you a ton of variability in your play. That is what I did to kind of set up the example here. I just randomly shuffled and selected 3. And then there's the expert journey, where players can come to an agreement, a nice little agreement between players on which travelers they will use, which gives you a little bit more control of your game. So you can, as a group, look through everyone, try and pick a good balance of different characters to play with, that kind of thing. The game plays between 1 and 5 players, so you know what that means. There is a solo mode. Now, I haven't tried the solo mode because it isn't part of the prototype, but it will be there for the final game, so lots of opportunity for different player counts and all that good stuff. But yeah, that is Timeless Journeys, Grand Italian Tour in a nutshell. If this does sound like something that you may be interested in, I highly encourage that you click the links below, go to the Kickstarter page, read reviews, watch videos, do all of the things to see whether or not this game is going to be a good fit for you. But that is everything that I have for you all today. So once again, this game, Timeless Journeys, Grand Italian Tour, it's right there. You can see it right there, but you can also see it on Kickstarter, so definitely check that out. If you're looking for other board games, as an example, Age of Comics, or any board games that are currently out on the market, you should first start by checking your friendly local gaming store, and for us, that is the Boardroom Game Cafe. And if you like what you see, please subscribe. Hope to see you again soon. And now, I say goodbye, also known as ciao. Arrivederci. Is that Italian? I think it is. Try that again. Whoopsies. But just note that you will only have, wow, threw it away. Science, we have history, we have philosophy, and we have this one. What's A for? No, I forget. It's not athletics, but that's what is coming into my head. It's not athletics, art. Italy. I've never been, but man, I would love to go. I would love to go. I want to go to Italy. Big time. I hear they have amazing coffee. I freaking love coffee.